Welcome to another edition of Hollywood Hoops Laid Back Reaction. I'm Josh Martin of Lonzo Wire. He's Eric Pincus of Basketball Insiders and Bleacher Report. And today's episode is brought to you, as always, by High Five. High Five makes meetings awesome with insanely simple video conferencing designed for your meeting rooms. It's the easiest to use solution thanks to their all-in-one hardware and intuitive cloud software. Plus, it's a high-quality experience with industry-leading audio powered by Dolby Voice. It's so easy to use that there's no pin codes or app downloads. Just click a link in your browser and you're in the meeting. Even the least techie person at your company can figure it out.
With customers in over 100 countries, High Five is already trusted by the likes of Warby Parker, Harry's, Betterment, and the Girl Scouts of Northern California. To learn more and start your free trial, 30-day free trial of insanely simple video conferencing, visit highfive.com. That's highfive.com. And Josh, I am wearing a Cheviot Hills t-shirt today. This was I wore to coach the girls. Had a really, really tough battle. We won 16-13, a high-scoring affair. Was just murder down the stretch. The last 2 minutes strung out to maybe, it felt like 20 minutes, but had to have been at least 7-8 minutes. Just
sounds like the NBA.
Oh, it was fun. It was a blast, of course, because we won. We were playing a team with 2 All-Stars. We have, it looks like 3 All-Stars. My daughter has been named. My B team point guard has been named, and then we've got a Ben Wallace type, a girl who is really new to the game and can't score yet, but she's just out there rebounding and blocking shots and being just doing what you're supposed to do. So it's always good to have someone like that on an all-star team. But let's transition, Josh. What you got for me? What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I guess the big news, obviously, is what the post-mortem, you could say, of the Lakers trade with the Cavaliers. Sunday, the Cavs went and demolished the Boston Celtics on Paul Pierce's jersey retirement night. Jordan Clarkson played well for them. Larry Nance Jr. did some nice things. But let's look back at the Lakers side of the equation now. They went into Dallas on Saturday, lost 130-123. Isaiah Thomas, had himself a productive night offensively, had 22 points and 6 assists off the bench, also had 6 turnovers, and defensively, the Mavs kind of did what the Cavs did to him in the playoffs last year, what any well-coached team would do, and that's have him put him in the action every time and make sure that he's the guy switching on to a bigger player, and then just basically victimize him every time. Eric, I know you've got your coaching hat on now. We usually have you go in GM status, but you're coming off a coaching performance with Cheviot Hills. So tell me, if you're Luke Walton, if you're coaching the Lakers, how are you going about integrating Isaiah Thomas, and what are you doing to sort of help mask those deficiencies of his?
Yeah, it's a trick. The way that the Lakers have primarily played defense is by switching everything, right? When you've got Lonzo Ball and KCP out there, they're 6'5"-ish, right? Around there, both of them, give or take. And so you can basically switch any position. Now, Lopez, you don't want him switching that much onto guards. But in that second unit, Kuzma, Nance historically, Clarkson historically, Randall in the starting group, you go piece by piece, everyone can switch. That's more of an issue now, because now if you switch and you have Isaiah Thomas, who's basically 5'9", but that's really generous at 5'9", he's barely that tall. It's an issue because he can't guard guys who are 6'6", 6'8", 6'9", whereas someone like Lonzo actually has shown that he's got some ability to bang out there, and certainly it's a problem. So the solution is probably going to be some changes in coverage. Maybe have Isaiah go over screens instead of switching. If it's a non-shooter, go under the screen. But if it's a shooter, fight over it and have the center instead of any sort of play. Basically, anticipate what's happening. So I think he'll play well. If they could do something really positively with Brook Lopez kind of hanging back and protecting with Isaiah going over the screen, or they could do the same with Randall. Randall's a little more mobile. So there are options. I just think the switching defense that they have is problematic. Now, offensively, we saw Isaiah go off, and the Lakers fell apart defensively in that game, but the real murder that Dallas did was when Isaiah was actually on the bench. I mean, the defense was terrible when Isaiah wasn't playing. So I don't think that was really the main issue, but it will be an issue moving forward. As far as on offense, though, Isaiah, they are going to trap him. That was something that they did. They threw 2 guys at him, made him give up the ball in uncomfortable positions. And given that this is new, the Lakers weren't anticipating. They didn't, it just takes time, right, to build that chemistry. So I think over time they'll do a better job. Right now he's your bench scorer. He's in Clarkson's role, and I think that'll work. But if the Lakers don't play defense, it doesn't matter how many points they put up.
This is very true. Now, you talk about Isaiah being a bench player, and I think that's been clear that that's where the Lakers are leaning, that Magic has already said that Lonzo's our starting point guard when he comes back, and it doesn't seem like KCP is going to get nudged out of that starting lineup at any point soon anyway. But there's also been a lot coming from Isaiah's side, in particular his agent Aaron Goodwin, saying that, hey, Isaiah is a starter, that Isaiah wants to start, that's his role. If you're the Lakers, how do you handle that? Is there a conflict there that you see some potential for, or is this a situation where Isaiah, maybe he's only here for a couple months, so he kind of has to just take it and deal with it and make the most of the situation?
Yeah, it's a quandary. So on one hand, the Lakers are clearly positioning to go after Paul George and LeBron James. And LeBron and Isaiah Thomas did not mesh well. I don't see how you build a team where LeBron is here and Isaiah is here as well. Mm-hmm. So if the Lakers achieve their top priority, it doesn't involve Isaiah Thomas. But equally, they may not get those guys. And if they don't, they have the rights to Isaiah Thomas and can keep him and pay him. They have the rights to Lopez and Randall. And they can just build upon this team and maybe get one star, or maybe they strike out. And really, if that's the case, then Isaiah Thomas could be a big part of their future because he's a very talented scorer in this league. And so ultimately, if that were the case, you would think that he would move next season. Let's say there's no LeBron. I would think that he would be the starting point or two. Positions don't matter really. It would be the starting backcourt of Lonzo Ball and Isaiah Thomas. That's what they would do next year if there's no LeBron, if there's no Paul George, perhaps. And so that's something that they might want to try out and see what it looks like. So in that case, you're either sitting KCP or you're moving him up to small forward and maybe moving Brandon up to power forward. But then where's Randall in that? He's been really, really good. So there's not a clear answer here other than pulling KCP, which I would argue from a basketball point of view is worth at least looking at and seeing what it's like. But from a politics point of view, remember KCP has the same agent as LeBron, Rich Paul, Clutch Sports, and there is a certain amount of politicking that's going on to make sure that they are positioned to get LeBron. I mean, even helping the Cavs right now with this trade, in a sense, helped LeBron curry favor. If he's leaving, maybe he's coming to LA. So I don't know the answers here as far as what Luke Walton's going to do. I think that it's clear that you can just have Isaiah come off the bench, but that it would be good at some point first to get Lonzo back on the floor. But once he's back, it would be good to see what these two look like on the floor, even if it's for 5, 6, 7, 8 games, 10 games. What? Because there are some problems with that combination, perhaps, but there may also be some great strengths. What's your thought on that, Josh?
I just have a hard time seeing Isaiah as a long-term fit with this team, unless it's as someone, as you said, maybe coming off the bench, being a six-man scorer. But that's a role that he's filled well, certainly in different places, whether that was in Sacramento or in Phoenix, and early on at least in Boston. But it's also a role that he's sort of not taken too kindly, that he's not enjoyed, that he really puts a lot of emphasis on the importance of starting for some reason. I know that obviously if you ask most coaches, they'll say it's not as important who starts, but who finishes. And Isaiah certainly has placed a measure of importance on starting. And I wonder if that's going to be an issue for the Lakers. I think defensively there are issues, and they had found a nice rhythm and sort of had built a nice system here with that switching defense and with a very much an egalitarian offense, we'll say. And I think Isaiah kind of creates problems for both of those things. But by the same token, again, if he's a guy who's a part of your second unit, if he's leading that, then maybe that's okay. Maybe you can build around that in that sense. But I think there are a lot of little issues that the Lakers are going to have to navigate. There's a lot that they're going to have to wait and see how things play out, how Isaiah fits. It's too early, really, to judge one way or another. We've got one game of him as a Laker, and even without Lonzo, so they got to see how those two mesh, because Lonzo is the future of the franchise. So it's really going to be critical for any player to see how that guy fits alongside Lonzo, though, considering the type of player that Lonzo is, very much a ball share, a pass first guy. I would have a hard time seeing anyone who would have trouble playing with him, but who knows? We'll see. But Eric, we'll all have to just kind of sit back and have a look at it. The next time up for the Lakers will be on Wednesday against the New Orleans Pelicans on the road. We'll see if Lonzo's back by then. Certainly Isaiah will be back on the floor, so we'll all be eager to see what happens. But for now, we're going to wrap it up here for this edition of Hollywood Hoops, Laid Back Reaction. I'm Josh Martin of Lonzo Wire. He's Eric Pincus of Basketball Insiders and Bleacher Report. You can catch our podcast, Hollywood Hoops, on wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Google Play or iTunes, almightyballer.com, clnsmedia.com, and of course, every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific time on Dash Radio's Nothing But Net channel. But for now, we'll wrap it up here, and thanks again for joining us for this edition of Hollywood Hoops Laid Back Reaction.
He's on his race, going to Hollywood, he's busting into Hollywood.